What's up, my dudes? Okay, I had about 69,000 of you guys recommend that I make this video right here. I know there's a lot of you guys wondering, should I upgrade to Supercross 4? I have Supercross 3 right now. You know, what's actually better about Supercross 4 versus Supercross 3? Got a lot of you guys commenting that, and I have seen that. So, yeah, and just letting you know, if you want to get in my Discord, all you have to do is DM me on Instagram at Spencer Turley, no spaces and no capital letters. Just DM me on there. I'll get you in the Discord. And don't forget to hit the notification bell for my channel because I'm uploading like an absolute crazy person right now. We're chugging them tea gallons down, boy. Like, oh my gosh. So make sure you got all them notifications turned on if you want to. But either way, let's get to the video. So, number one thing that I wanted to talk about real quick before we get into the gameplay, there's really no doubt about that I feel like Supercross 3 actually has more track content than Supercross 4. Okay, so you just take a little look-ski here. Let me go to the different tracks in the game real quick and I'll just show you. So you have what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tracks in this game. And then the rest of the tracks are in the same stadium. So they're not like drastically different tracks, right? These are all the Salt Lake City rounds that they were trying to replicate from last year, which is cool and all. That's cool that they're trying to, you know, replicate the real life thing. But the point I'm trying to make is you're basically getting half of the track content, 11 you know, unique stadiums here for Supercross 4, even though there is 17 rounds, whereas in Supercross 3, you're going to get like damn near 17 unique stadiums. You see what I'm saying? And it does kind of, I mean, yeah, all these tracks have like, all these different Salt Lake tracks have different jumps and different, you know, layouts and everything like that, but still, they do feel similar to each other, you know what I mean? Because they're in the same stadium, same kind of deal, and when you go to the compound here, okay, you have a quote-unquote MX track, and then you have 4 different SX tracks here. And I just feel like the compound in Supercross 3 is just better than the compound in Supercross 4 in every way. I feel like it looks better. It's got better jumps, better, you know, all those different, like, I don't even know how many. We'll have to go look when I go to Supercross 3, but there was like at least 7 different SX training tracks on the compound of Supercross 3, and you can see we only have 4 here on Supercross 4, and these are like very, very simplistic little, I call them beginner Supercross tracks. These aren't even amateur Supercross tracks. These are like beginner Supercross tracks. So you're really not going to spend all that much time on these you know, compound training Supercross tracks here in Supercross 4, whereas in Supercross 3, those training Supercross tracks on that compound, you could have rode and raced on those just like they was any other track in the game. They were just completely outdoor, right? And the motocross track, I mean, yeah, there's a cool jump through the Lord of the Rings castle here, but like I just think the compound in Supercross 3 was just better in every way, and the content, you just had more content in Supercross 3. There's really just no doubt about that. So either way, let's just go ahead and start here with Anaheim 1. Let's just get on the first track here. Let me get same rider, same track, both games, and we'll kind of take a look at it. But so that was just one thing I had to mention while we were there in the menus. But one of the biggest things I like better about Supercross 4 than Supercross 3 is they have definitely improved on that whole like leaning forward and backwards. If you guys don't remember, with Supercross 3, that was kind of when they really started to first add any sort of an actual seat bouncing system to the game and stuff like that. And they've just expanded upon that. They've just made that better here with Supercross 4. Like, I personally like the in-air physics of Supercross 4 better than I did Supercross 3. Because there was one really bizarre thing about the physics to Supercross 3, even though I like the physics of Supercross 3 better than any other, milestone game before Supercross 3, don't get it twisted. Like, I love the physics of Supercross 3 as far as compared to any other milestone game minus Supercross 4. You see what I'm saying? So that's kind of the deal here. Like, I feel like there was this one little weird, buggy, weird feeling thing to Supercross 3's physics. And what it was you kind of had to play the game a little bit to even know what I'm about to say right here. But there was this weird, like, random loss of momentum when you would land in a jump in Supercross 3, even if you landed a jump really well, even if you landed a jump like down in a certain jump transition like perfectly, there was just some times in Supercross 3 where your momentum would just disappear. Your momentum would just get completely destroyed for no apparent reason, right? And that was one massive thing that was a little bit frustrating to me personally about Supercross 3's physics. Like I say, even though I like Supercross 3's physics better than like Supercross 1, 2, MXGP, Pro, I like Supercross 3's physics better than a lot of those other milestone games, but still, I feel like that's one element that they have definitely improved on here with Supercross 4. You feel like when you lose momentum, if you ever lose momentum off of hitting a certain jump wrong or landing a weird way on a jump, you feel like that was actually your fault. You feel like it was like, okay, yeah, that would probably, somewhat happen like that in real life. Like, I lost momentum because I actually did something wrong on the bike itself. Whereas Supercross 3, every once in a while, you'd have that weird feeling of like, what the hell? Like, I didn't even land wrong, but yet the bike almost just came to a complete stop off of a jump face and just lost all of its momentum for no real apparent reason. Right? So that's one little thing that you will notice difference in Supercross 4 than Supercross 3. And I just feel like the physics overall, I just feel like they're just a little bit smoother, they just feel better to me. Not a lot better. They don't feel a lot better in Supercross 4, just a little bit better. But one aspect of it that you're going to notice when you go from Supercross 3 to Supercross 4 is Supercross 4, you're not going to have the sliding in the corner effect that you would have had in Supercross 3. There is a lot more, sticky traction back wheel just sticking into the dirt. Okay, so here we are in Supercross 3. Same track, same rider, same setup, same weather conditions, same everything, okay? So I can definitely see, you could see the back wheel break loose right there, right off the bat. I mean, right off the bat. The back wheel is going to break loose, literally probably 3 or 4 times as much in this game than it would Supercross 4. You see me breaking loose right there as well. So it's interesting going from one game to the other because you think you're going to have a lot of traction when you get back into this game like you do in Supercross 4, but then all of a sudden when you get on the gas too fast, you just start sliding around, right? There's definitely more of a sliding element to this game, it's kind of all in how you want to look at it, if you will, Some people would consider that like more of a skill gap when you have a little bit of slide potential in the corner, and I can definitely understand that. But it's just a different kind of a game, There's definitely, don't get my words twisted though, there's definitely elements of the physics of Supercross 3 that I still love to this day. That I still think is like some of the best milestone physics we've ever had before, even when you compare it to Supercross 4. That's kind of where I would put it. It's like there's certain, now that I've really got back into this game, kind of started playing again, there's certain elements of the physics that I like better in Supercross 4, and then there's certain elements of the physics that I kind of like a little better with Supercross 3 here. You know what I'm saying? I do think there is more of a in-air physics, inertia, gravitational pull. You feel like you're actually, bouncing, boosting up in the air when you hit a jump more in Supercross 4 than you do here in Supercross 3. It just feels like there's less of an actual air physics system to Supercross 3. Some people consider Supercross 4's physics like really bouncy and fake looking or whatever. But I feel like when you actually get into Supercross 4 and you really start to play the game, you start to understand how much more skill gap and line variation and you know, being able to separate yourself from other people that you have with Supercross 4 because of how much more of that, like, you just feel like your suspension is reacting more, you know, you're getting more feedback on the jump faces in Supercross 4 than you would in Supercross 3. But in all reality, like, they're not like crazy different. By the way, I've not played Supercross 3 in a minute, so, you know, easy on the, hey, Spencer, you suck at the game. You know, I'm just getting back in there, doing some live gameplay. I know you can 3 in here. There we go. Now we're getting that again. But yeah, there's that just bizarre loss of momentum with Supercross 3 that it was always a little frustrating element to this game. And they definitely have seemed to have, you know, ironed out that bit of a bug or bit of an issue with their physics, if you will. You know, they definitely seem to have ironed that out and made that better. And some of you guys that have really played a lot of Supercross 3, you know exactly what I'm talking about when I say that weird instant loss of momentum for no real apparent reason type situation, right? As far as the graphics go, I mean, Supercross 3 seems a little bit darker, a little bit grungier type graphics than you have there in Supercross 4. I think Supercross 4's ground fidelity might look just a little bit better than it does here in Supercross 3. So that's kind of one element to it. The camera is a little bit different. That may be one aspect that I might actually like a little better with Supercross 3 than Supercross 4, you know, the default camera. But as far as the rhythms and stuff like that, I just felt like with Supercross 3, sometimes some of the rhythms can get like mind-numbingly like too complicated. And I know it sounds crazy coming from me because I've always talked about how they need to make the rhythms more complicated, more skill gapped, and more, you know, that's something they've desperately needed in these milestone games, and I do like it. But with that weird random loss of momentum bullshit that you get with Supercross 3, it can make some of the more complicated rhythms, especially on like the Daytona track of Supercross 3, and depending on what kind of track you're on, it can definitely get just like, not that it's even more skill gapped, it's just more unpredictable in how you're going to be able to hit the different rhythms. Whereas with Supercross 4, it's like everything's more predictable. Everything's more, it feels like when you actually get the proper amount of momentum and the proper seat bounce and lean angle and all that stuff on the bike, you're going to be able to hit the rhythm right, you know? Whereas Supercross 3 feels like more of a random guessing game of, you think you have the right amount of momentum, you think you have the right amount of leaning and everything, but sometimes you just still can't hit the jump. Sometimes it just lands weird and kills your momentum for no real apparent reason. So that's what I mean by, I feel like Supercross 4 is a little more smooth as far as the landing, jumping, transitional, you know, when you land down off of a 3-in rhythm and then trying to huck the next jump in the rhythm section. That particular aspect is what feels better to me in Supercross 4 than Supercross 3. But Supercross 3 definitely has a cool little fast, you know, you feel like you're kind of on the ground more in Supercross 3. You're kind of, you know, Supercross 3 definitely feels more like Supercross 1 or Supercross 2's physics than Supercross 4 does. Supercross 4 is definitely more of its own kind of animal than Supercross 3 is here. They have a similar leaning forward and backwards hucking system, but I think it's a little more predominant in Supercross 4 than it is Supercross 3. I think it affects the bike a little more in Supercross 4 than it does Supercross 3, and I just feel like you have more leaning left and right and leaning forward and backwards in Supercross 4 than you do Supercross 3 here. I just feel like there's just more inertia to the movement on the bike in Supercross 4 than there is Supercross 3. So, yeah, that's about some of the main, like, gameplay physics comparisons that I would say to it here. Okay, let's talk about the track editor just real quick here for some of you guys that are wondering how much better is the track editor in Supercross 4 than Supercross 3. It's not even really anything different. I'm just telling you right now, it's just not. I mean, yeah, they changed up the way this menu looks a little bit here, but like you can see it. If some of you guys wondering what's the new module pieces in Supercross 4 that we didn't have in Supercross 3, there's not really. I mean, these are the same corner module pieces that you would have had. There's that same corner module piece in Supercross 3. The straights are there's this one new straight module piece here that was not in Supercross 3. And then same whoop module pieces that you had in Supercross 3. And I think there may be one new jump module piece, this split lane tabletop-y jump thing here. I don't think this was in Supercross 3, but that's the only difference. It's the same special modules. It's the same exact whoop modules. It's the same exact turn modules. Same exact, straight modules other than this last one right here. So you literally have 2 new module pieces. 2. Deuces. 2. That's it. That's the only new module pieces to Supercross 4 that you didn't have in Supercross 3. There's not like some cool, clay dirt compound or like some cool, rut module piece or you can change the lighting of the stadium or there's none of that. They do have the same finish line module pieces, the same exact finish line module pieces that you've had forever. And there's this coloring the tough blocks finish line, all that kind of stuff. But this was paid DLC back in Supercross 3. So if you bought this DLC back in Supercross 3, this is not anything new either. But that's it. It's the same everything else. It's the same stadiums. It's the same start, module pieces. The only new things at all is one new module piece to the jumps and one new module piece to the straights. That is it. So there is, as far as the track editor goes, I mean, especially if you bought this coloring the Tough Block, custom colored Tough Block DLC, there's nothing new here at all. Okay, so we're in the menu screen here of Supercross 3, and I just wanted to kind of show you some of the content of the game, okay? So you can see here, 1, 2, well, these are technically Anaheim 1 and 2, so those are 2 tracks in the same stadium, but you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, like 15 or 16 unique different stadiums of tracks in this game. Whereas in Supercross 4, you only had, 10. You only had like half of the rounds in a unique stadium, and then the second half of the rounds were in the Salt Lake City Stadium. So there is definitely more variation to the default Supercross tracks in Supercross 3 than there was Supercross 4. Okay, so let's go to the compound tracks. You have 8 different full-blown outdoor Supercross training, SX training compound tracks in Supercross 3, whereas you only had 4 in Supercross 4. Like, what the hell, Milestone? How do you go from this many different full-blown Supercross tracks in your compound to then only having 4 little piss-poor bullshit beginner Supercross tracks in Supercross 4's compound? It don't make any sense. And then I honestly think the motocross compound in Supercross 3 is also better than the motocross compound in Supercross 4. It's just like, what the hell? Why did you just strip out? Like, you were finally starting to get more of that, different kind of track content in your games, and then now you've just reverted back on all of that with Supercross 4. It don't make any sense. You should have at least had this many Supercross tracks in your compound in Supercross 4 because you just had it in Supercross 3. That's just inexcusable what they did with Supercross 4 as far as that goes right there. There's just like, come on, man. So let's go to the track editor and I'll kind of show you show you a little bit of the difference here. Same stadiums, same same custom start, standard start situation. Damn, I like the way this looks better here in let me get this start thing up here, kind of get a similar little vibe. But yeah, you can just, it's like you can see more. You know, you don't have any weird like menu in your way or anything like that. Look at this. You can see exactly what you're doing. This was so much smarter of a menu design here in Supercross 3, where they have the module menu over here to the left versus in Supercross 4, where it's like right in your fucking way of seeing the module piece. You know, in Supercross 4, it's like down towards the bottom, but it gets right in the way of seeing what you're doing with the actual module piece. But like, this is all the same exact module corners-wise that you had in Supercross 4. Nothing new there. Same exact straight modules minus that long, weird single module piece that they have. Same exact whoop module pieces. Okay. You have same exact jump module pieces minus the one very, very last jump module piece there in Supercross 4. Same exact special module pieces, same exact finish line module pieces, and the customizing the colors of everything. This shit was in Supercross 3. It was just paid DLC. Some of you guys really need to understand that. This is not new at all. They just brought something that used to be paid DLC into their game as a free feature in their next game. So, you do realize that literally the only new thing to the track editor in Supercross 4 is 2 fucking module pieces. 2 module pieces. I mean, how much more lazy can you get? I really don't know. I really don't know. But that is inexcusable. That is just like, that's complete bullshit, Milestone. That is just total bullshit. Absolute 100% total bullshit. That is pitiful. That is the lowest amount of stuff you have ever added to a track editor ever before. Like, really? I'm kind of dumbfounded by that. But let's go to the compound here in Supercross 3. So as far as content, track editor, certain elements to the physics, the variation to the stock tracks with having the multiple different stadiums, I feel like Supercross 3 wins in every one of those categories. I really do. I really, really do. The only thing that is saving Supercross 4's ass right now is the fact that it's like, it's fixed a couple of those weird little buggy, weird little annoying things that to the physics of Supercross 3. Like I was saying, that random weird loss of momentum for no reason. Giving you a little bit more of that jumping up in the air physics system. That, just advancing upon that a little bit more. The whip system, I feel like in Supercross 4 is a little bit faster. It's like you can bring the whip back around a little bit faster in Supercross 4 than you can in Supercross 3. So but I mean, and I feel like it's not as locked on the axis in Supercross 4 as it is here in Supercross 3. So I feel like Supercross 4 just feels a little bit more free, a little bit more loose on the bike than Supercross 3 does. So that is definitely a positive to Supercross 4. And the graphics are just a little bit better, I feel like, in Supercross 4 than they are Supercross 3, which you do expect, right? But I like this compound better in Supercross 3 than Supercross 4. No doubt about it. Let's go to the first person camera here. Okay, let's just ride a Willie, pop a Willie, no squilly, wet Willie Wednesday. Okay, yeah, you can tell there's not quite as much movement with the front end here. with the first-person camera of Supercross 3 as there is in Supercross 4. There's just more movement in Supercross 4. There's just more, you know, the bike doesn't like ride itself as much in Supercross 4 as it does here in Supercross 3. You actually have to lean and move and maneuver the bike more in Supercross 4 than you do in Supercross 3. But, yeah. As far as anything else, I mean, everything else is pretty similar. They're similar games. I mean, they really are. They're definitely similar in quite a few different ways, but I just feel like there's certain aspects that are better about Supercross 3, and then there's certain aspects that are better about Supercross 4. Supercross 4's physics kind of feel like you mixed Supercross 3 with MXGP 2020 in a way. It kind of feels like that. Okay, so as you can see, we're back here in Supercross 4. You should be able to tell graphically how this game is just one little step up graphically. It's just everything's a little brighter. Everything kind of pops a little more in this game. The ground fidelity level, depending on what kind of track you get on, is going to look a little more high res, a little more like MXGP 2020 type graphics compared to Supercross 3. But like, we can go over here to these absolute beginner basic, like Huxon Deegan's going to hit this shit on a 65 type Supercross track here. I don't know what they were doing at this shit. These tracks don't even come close to how much fun and how much longevity and replayability and all that you had on the Supercross tracks of the compound in Supercross 3. Like, these aren't even close, man. You're going to ride on these right here for about 5 seconds and be like, what the hell is this? Get me off of this shit. And then you're going to go, you know, you're going to go back to riding on the normal tracks or a custom track in the game. Whereas in Supercross 3, those 8... You know, I have to say it again, there was literally double the amount of these outdoor training Supercross tracks in Supercross 3 than you have in Supercross 4. And they were better in every way. They were bigger, better, normal. You know, they weren't just like some little shitty little tracks like they feel like here in Supercross 4. You know, they felt more like something. I mean, I spent a lot of time on those tracks going through the purple flowers here, boys. Going through the purple flowers. Little perp skirt flowers there, boys. I just feel like you're just not going to spend nowhere near the time on those tracks in this game as you would in Supercross 3. All right, let's just get stuck in the fence real quick. But, yeah. So that's about what I would say about it. But, yeah, you don't have the sliding effect in this game that you have in Supercross 3. Sorry, I'm every time I say Supercross 3 or Supercross 4, I'm having to like slow down to make sure I say the right one because it gets confusing when you go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. But you know, I could see where some people would like Supercross 3 better. I could definitely see that. Don't get my words twisted. I could see that, and there's a lot of things that I like better about Supercross 3, but I think specifically in the feeling on the bike, that's where I feel like Supercross 4 is edging out Supercross 3. I just really do feel like that. It just feels like you're more one with the bike, if you will, in Supercross 4 than you do. Supercross 3 feels a little more like you're riding an actual computer. You know, I don't know how to explain it. Like you're separated from the bike. Whereas in Supercross 4, there's like more of an actual, how much you move with the controller is how much you're going to move in the game. You understand? You starting to feel my vibe here a little bit? Like, I don't know. You just have this more connected, leaning forward and backwards, hucking, seat bouncing. You just have a little bit more of a connected to the bike feeling in Supercross 4 than you do in Supercross 3, in my humble opinion. But there is definitely elements that are better about Supercross 3 than Supercross 4. Like I said, with the compound, the Supercross tracks on the compound, you certainly expected more out of the track editor of Supercross 4. I mean, you know, I would rather use the track editor in Supercross 3 than Supercross 4, especially if you had the Color of the Tough Blocks DLC. The only thing that you're not going to have in Supercross 3's track editor is the 2 new module pieces. But it's like, who gives a shit? It's just 2 new module pieces. That's like nothing. And you're not going to have to deal with that stupid, like, module piece menu in your way of building the track like you have here in Supercross 4's track editor. So to be completely honest with you, I prefer the track editor of Supercross 3 than Supercross 4. Like, straight up. But Supercross 4, it's just going to give you a little more of that, like I'm saying, jumping up off of a jump phase kind of skill gap. It's not going to feel as, like, inconsistent as far as jumping in and out of transitions. Yeah, let's go to the first-person camera here, though. You can see how there's more movement in the front end here than there was there in the first person of Supercross 3. Shit. You can see how there's more, you know, there's more movement in the front end specifically. There was almost no movement at all to the front end of Supercross 3's first-person camera. I mean, it was like literally stiff. It just didn't move at all. So if that don't go to show you kind of a little bit of an example of the physics in a sense, then I don't know what does. But, you know, you've got more movement in the front end. You've got more movement. It's a looser feeling game all the way around than Supercross 3 is, which is going to, again, make you feel a little more connected to the bike, make everything feel a little bit more, you know, inertia, realistic, you know, connected to the bike type feeling, not as like basic, like the bike is riding itself, like I was saying before. Nice little whipski in first person. But yeah, it's just a hard thing to explain if you don't really play these games. Damn, I'm hitting trees like crazy out here. It's kind of one of those things, I feel like with Supercross 4, you really got to get into the game and actually play it to understand any of this shit that I'm saying. But, yeah, I kind of wish they would have, like, maybe kept a little bit more of the wheel spin effect that you had in Supercross 3. I wish they wouldn't have, like, just totally gotten rid of it like you have here in Supercross 4. There's just no wheel spin at all, which is kind of weird. I mean, there's like ever so slight little amount of wheel spin, but I feel like I wish they would have kept just a little bit of that from Supercross 3. And, you know, this game does feel maybe slightly slower, like actual how fast the screen is coming towards you than Supercross 3 felt. And I don't really know if that was the right move. I feel like Supercross 3 had that on point, like the speed of the game, you know, kind of just certain little elements to the physics. But they did fix the weird little random loss of momentum bullshit that you get in Supercross 3. They did fix that here in Supercross 4 and gave you a little bit more, transfers, K-dub. But here's another one of these little Supercross. These are just so piss poor. These are just so shitty compared to the ones in Supercross 3. These are actually a joke compared to the ones in Supercross 3. I don't know how they did that. This is what I talk about when I say there's certain times where it's just like, what in the hell are you doing, Milestone? Like, what are you doing? How can you go from those 8 different outdoor Supercross training tracks of Supercross 3 to this shit? Literally how? Like, it just does not make any sense at all. Somebody was asleep at the wheel on that aspect in particular. Just so lazy. So lazy when they take steps backwards on the content and the track editor and the... You at least expected to have, like, 5 or 6 new module pieces at the bare minimum, and then like maybe another dirt compound, like clay dirt compound that you could put on any of the module pieces instead of just sand and normal dirt, and like maybe maybe a pre-made how much the track is fucked up, like ruts and kickers and all that kind of stuff, like a slider where you could adjust that on the track and like adjust the lighting in the stadium. These are all things that you just would have expected at this point in the track editor. But no, you get literally 2 new module pieces to the track editor, and that's it. That is it. So yeah, as far as like if it's worth it or should you get it or is it worth going from Supercross 3 to Supercross 4, it's just hard to say. It's just hard to say because I think you're definitely going to get some enjoyment out of the physics of this game when you really start to get into it and play it. Compared to Supercross 3, you're going to get a cool, different kind of hucking, leaning, jumping, bouncing off of the jump faces, you know, kind of system to this game. It's going to give you a cool little feeling. It really is. And the whip system of this game doesn't feel bad. Like, it takes a lot of the good elements of Supercross 4. It really does. As far as the physics, you know, this doesn't feel like just some crazy different than Supercross 3 shitty physics system or anything like. It takes a lot of the good elements of it. It feels similar to Supercross 3's physics, but just better in a couple ways and maybe a little worse in a couple of other ways. So it's like maybe, I don't know. It's just hard to explain it, man. It really is. But I hope I've explained it the best I can in this video. I hope I've done a good little comparison as far as the content, the track editor, and everything like that. I've tried to kind of compare them in the best way I can here, but yeah. It's just hard to say. If you're like more towards you're really into these motocross games, you know, you play a lot of motocross games, I do think Supercross 4 is worth it just to experience the advancement to the physics that they've made here. I think it's worth it for that. But like, if you're more, you don't play a whole lot of motocross games, you're way more on the casual side, I mean, you know, you're not going to get a whole lot of like newer content or different stuff in this game. You know, you're going to have slightly better graphics, just ever so slightly more stuff in the track editor. And I mean, ever so slightly, you know, a worse compound, less content as far as tracks. The career mode, I mean, I didn't really get much into that in this video. I did hear there was an injury system to the career mode here in Supercross 4. I haven't checked that out yet, but we will do that. So there may be some positives to the career mode in this game compared to Supercross 3. It does kind of seem like that. But yeah, that's just a couple of the heavy hitter things. But as far as everything else, it's pretty similar, like customization and the different, you know, the rider, like the actual, you know, custom rider face options, and I looked through all that stuff, and it is basically identical to the way it was in Supercross 3. So there's a lot of really, really identical things to these two games. They're just different in a few ways, and I feel like there's some things that are better about Supercross 4, but then there's also some things that are worse about Supercross 4. It's just kind of, you know, I can't say Supercross 4 is just like 100% totally a better game as a whole than Supercross 3, but at the same time, I can't say that Supercross 3 as a whole is just totally better than Supercross 4. It's just kind of all in. Are you more of a content guy? Are you more of an in-air physics guy? Are you more of a, you know, graphics guy? Or are you more of a, it's all in the kind of gamer that you are, I think is going to kind of pick and depend on which one of these games you like better. But I can't really pick just like a standout winner between the two. You know, if you're one of those kind of guys that doesn't like the sliding out effect of Supercross 3, you're going to probably prefer the physics of Supercross 4 more. If you're more of a leaning forward and backwards, you like more of a loose feeling to the physics, more of a connected to the bike's physics feeling, you're probably going to like Supercross 4 a little bit more. If you like more content, you know, you're more into the how much replayability you have to the compound stuff, you're probably going to like Supercross 3 a little bit better. If you, you know, I don't know. It's just the best way I can explain it, guys. But either way, appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Later, dudes.